Hello there, I am meteorologist Rob Carlmark here with a live update here on our streaming channel so I can give you more details, context, and also point out some of the very quick transitions that we're undergoing during this critical day of change where this atmospheric river is affecting us. By the way, if you're watching me on streaming on TV, we have a mobile device app that you can download on your phone so you can watch it that way. Or if you're watching me on a phone, we have a streaming device on your television. You could also use Roku, Amazon Fire. We've got a bunch of different ways for you to catch the broadcast, both some of the highlights that we do, and then, of course, when it matters, like it does now, live. So this is where we are at the moment. I want to spend a few minutes talking about an atmospheric river and what this really means for us. In any given year, these types of systems where you have a huge area of low pressure, i.e. a storm, and it can tap into this really wet air that goes all the way down to the subtropics, this is when you get your really big multi-day storms. This is when you get inches of rain, and this is when you can get potentially, as long as it's cold enough, feet of snow. Sometimes they're too warm and you get many inches of rain all the way up into the mountains, and that's pretty much the case later on today, but I'll explain that in just a second. So this kind of a storm is a little bit different than how we normally forecast for storms. Usually an area of low pressure will form, it grabs some moisture, it sweeps through the area, and then that's it. You'll have a period of northwest wind, some clearing, and then that's it. This one is different. This one is lasting for days on end because the parent low, what has found all of this moisture, is not really budging. In fact, it moved in about Tuesday when it really intensified. It's been there through Wednesday. This is now Thursday, and you can see it's still grabbing onto that moisture, moving it in general in our area. Now, where that line is, that narrow but very heavy band of consistent rain, that's going to be moving up and down. So that's really where we need to focus our attention is where is the line, where is it going, where has it been, and where is it going to be down into the future, because that's really going to dictate how much rain and what kind of weather we're going to experience. With that said, our big day is not necessarily today on Thursday. Our big day locally for this area roughly in Northern California is going to be on Friday. And the reason why is because that low is moving just a little bit down to the south and pointing that fire hose of moisture right on top of our area. And it's going to stay there through most of Friday. Then it will start to move. But that doesn't mean that we're done with weather. That means that we're done with that kind of system. What we're going to have on Saturday and Sunday is just general moisture lingering around in our area. There is enough lift to get rain and snow in our area, but then we have to watch the beginning of next week because there's still enough moisture for active weather at least through Monday and perhaps till Tuesday. Now we are stopped on Thursday, and if you are worried about a big, huge storm on Thanksgiving Day, it will at least not be any type of atmospheric river storm, but we'll just have to watch that travel period very closely, especially the days after Thanksgiving. Okay, with that said, here's some current totals so far. These are only going to go up from here, and I picked a range of areas so you can kind of get the ballpark idea of how this has really come together. For the coastal range, where it's right off the water, a lot of lift very quickly. We've seen anywhere from 12 to 17 inches of rain so far. And then you're going to notice how the breakdown really depends on how far north and how far south you are. At the base of Mount Shasta, a mix of rain and snow. You melt the snow, you can still get inches of liquid, almost 10 inches for the base of Mount Shasta. Redding, a lot of reporting spots, around 6 inches of rain so far. Red Bluff, Oroville, what I'm doing is I'm going from north to south as far as location, and you can see the totals continuing to go down until you get to Manteca, not even a tenth of an inch of rain, Stockton even less, and then if you go even further south, no rain at all. It is very defined, as I showed you right off the top. It's a narrow but very impactful band of moisture that can bring rain or snow. So here are the key changes as we move through our Thursday. That rain line is on the move. It's on the move to the north. So this brings areas to the south into actual sunny and warmer weather. I think you're going to be really surprised when I show you that. And then for the mountains, they're going to be pulling in a lot more warm air. And that means that the snow level, which is very critical, the snow level means that's where you go from snow to rain. Above that elevation, it's snow. Below that elevation, it's rain. It's an approximation, but it gives you a good idea of where we are. And this is what's going to happen through the course of today. The valley rain is going to move off to the north. The rain for the mountain passes is going to be a bigger and bigger deal as we pull in more warmer air from the south, and just expect for everybody heavier rain also for the mountains, and then that cold air gets brought in, and then we're looking at some snow. As far as the current temperatures through Thursday afternoon, we're in the 50s. Here is the issue here. We're only in the 40s for Truckee, South Lake Tahoe. When you're in the 40s in the middle of the day, you're going to get rain rather than snow. Now, the Big Mountain Backyard forecast is focused mostly for the Sacramento metro area. There will be some warming today. Notice at the bottom of your screen, we're mostly looking at clouds. Yesterday, during the course of the storm, we were looking at some light rain mixed in with some clearing, some light rain. That line was right along I-80. Now it's starting to move north during the course of the day. The temperatures are going to vary, I would say, in my view, very dramatically. Now, I showed you some of the temperatures up high. This is a warmer day in the mountains. Obviously, this will translate into some of the lower elevations as well. But we'll look at some of these valley temperatures once you get well south of where that rain line is. For places that still hang onto the clouds late in the day, upper 50s, 60s, a cool and I would say cold at times day with clouds where it's either recently rained or it's just looking at a lot of clouds. Where it cleared really early in the day, in the southern portion of our area, 70 degrees with sunshine. Manteca, 70 degrees, a huge dramatic difference. And it's not very far as the crow flies compared to where these two locations are. It all depends on where this line of moisture and the cloud cover is. So here's where we are currently through Thursday afternoon. We still have this area of low pressure. We've got plenty of moisture streaming across our area, but this northern movement, it seems very small, but this northern movement and actually retrograding just a little bit is pulling all of this moisture off to the north and back a little bit. When it tilts like that on its axis, it can very steeply draw in some warmer air, and that's why you're seeing this very narrow band of where the snow is. Just to translate this, this is right along the spine of the Sierra. Once you get south of 50 and 88, the mountains get really tall here, and that's essentially where we are. Going to 7,000 feet later on today, it's going to be right around 8,000 feet. Now, going forward, this is looking down the road. Our winter weather in the mountains is almost wrapped up except for the highest elevations for Thursday afternoon. The next thing that's going to happen is that as we pull in colder air when the storm really gets going for Friday afternoon, we have something brand new. This is a winter storm watch. This is issued ahead of severe winter weather, heavy snow, strong winds, difficult driving, road closures at times, power outages. All of that begins Friday afternoon. And pay attention to this. This goes all the way until Tuesday afternoon. So we're talking about Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, likely all day on Monday, and even a good portion of Tuesday is going to be looking at solid snow and snow piling up in the mountains. Now, for some of these other green areas, this is for continued rain. You've seen some of the totals already. Now we're looking at some localized flooding issues because the rain is still continuing on saturated ground and already rising creeks and streams for some of those spots. Now, as we work our way through the day, you'll have to be patient, give it some time. There'll be some chunks of moisture here that will sneak in, bring periods of rain for a little bit, then you'll see some clearing. But in general, once we get past noon and beyond, you're going to see a lot of movement off to the north. I want to throw in one extra bonus observation that I have that I think is really critical. Imagine this. We go through our heavy day of rain on Friday. The winds aren't really that big of an issue. Then later on between Friday night and very early on Saturday, then we have some really windy conditions as this front is pushing through. Why does that matter? We're talking about the ground that's wet, it's soft, it's saturated, and then you get hit with the strongest winds. This is the time period that I would be concerned about. Power outages, they would be localized, but power outages as well as tree limbs and trees themselves are in danger of coming down when you have strong gusty winds at the end of a very long day with heavy rain and wet ground and soft ground as well. So that's what I would watch. After that, we start to clear up. Okay, going back to this northern push here, hour by hour into the afternoon and certainly through the overnight hours, it just keeps getting pushed farther and farther north. Cloud cover, dry weather for the most part. Now the sun is down and most of the rain is well north of Sacramento, right along that Yuba City, Marysville line, even farther north, all the way up to Chico in the middle of the night, but it's not done. Then we get to early on Friday morning. This is during the commute. Not a good time to have this kind of rain. I expect Friday morning's commute to be a complete disaster. So please leave early, watch what you're doing, travel only if you must, because this is heavy rain, low visibility, guaranteed spinouts and crashes, and that's going to be through the early morning commute. Not just for Sacramento, it could spread out to other places as well. Now this is going to be through the middle of the day. There will be a moment when it starts to slow down and break up. Usually in that in-between, we can get some showers, some thunderstorms, some really unstable weather. That's going to be all the way through Friday evening. Remember, the snow is coming back as this cold air has been brought in. So now we're watching the snow field expand. Through the overnight hours, could get heavy rain, strong winds, even some thunderstorms in the middle of the night, all the way through Saturday. And then we're going to watch things slow down through Saturday morning, and then start to ramp back up as we move deeper into Sunday. Just to highlight this one more time before we wrap things up, the difference between heavy rain and a lot of localized flooding issues is very sharp. Basically, I-80 off to the north, you're going to see a lot of those issues. Once you get to the south, the rain rates and totals are going to drop off very steeply. So let's add this all up if we can. Today, Thursday through Monday, at least, we're looking at more rain, more snow, wind thrown in the middle of this as well. At the end of this, we'll end up with several inches of valley rain, localized flooding issues, more widespread flooding issues for higher elevations for the most part and north of our area, and several feet of mountain snow is still to come. So that's why these days are highlighted in red. This is when the weather is impacting you. It's an alert day because from today through the weekend, even including Monday, we're looking at a combination of rain, wind, and snow that will affect everybody at some point. And we just need to pay attention through this weekend and a little bit beyond. Just looking past this, getting closer to Thanksgiving, that's one day we really don't want a lot of rain either before or after. And at this point, we do experience at least some drying period after several busy days of rain and snow.